As the famous poet Maya Angelou once said, "I can be changed by what happens to me, but I refuse to be reduced by it." This quote encapsulates the life of Doris Yamaguchi in the challenges she's faced and how she's overcome them. In this speech, I will be commemorating Doris Yamaguchi's service as Maui County's first councilwoman, her impact on the future of female politics, and her role as a loving mother and grandmother. To understand how this all began, let's rewind to 1973. On June 23rd, 1973, Doris Yamaguchi lost the love of her life, her husband of 25 years, Yoneto Yamaguchi. It was a year-long battle to lymphoma that Yoneto had unfortunately lost at only 45 years old. Disappointed, devastated, and distraught were just a few of the emotions Doris was feeling in those moments. Although seemingly defeated, Doris knew she needed to remain resilient, not only for herself and her late husband, but for her 3 kids as well, Alma, Carl, and Lois. Yoneto was an active Maui politician during the time of his passing, in which Doris was selected to take on his role and complete his political term. 1 month later, Doris Yamaguchi was sworn into office and officially became the first Maui County councilwoman, or as she preferred, councilman. When initially taking on the role of county councilman, Doris wasn't afraid to express her hesitance. In a 1973 interview with the Honolulu Advertiser, she explained that she took the job for the Democratic Party members, friends of her husband, and her own children. She was selfless in making this decision because she did it for those she cared about most, not for herself. It was a courageous act to place yourself in a powerful political position with no prior experience except a willingness to learn and take on new challenges. Doris went in knowing that there was going to be a lot at stake and sacrifices to be made. But she did this all with her head held high, conveying a radiant but humble energy with a simply infectious smile that stretched from ear to ear. Those in support of her understood all of this. They knew that there could have maybe been someone more qualified, maybe more experienced, but they also knew who Doris was and her character. They knew that she was able to do it and that Yoneto would have wanted her to do it. And that's really all the support she needed at the time. What she may have not realized is the impact that she's going to make on Maui's future. In becoming the first Maui County councilwoman in 1973, Doris Yamaguchi paved the way for the future female political leaders. Following Doris's term, the trend continued in the 1980s as more women began to run for office, such as Linda Lingle in 1981 and Velma McWayne Santos in 1983. In a 2018 article by the Maui News, it was reported that women will make up the majority of Maui County's government body for the first time in 114-year history. This historic event is in part due to Doris Yamaguchi's bravery to sustain her husband's political term and to continue to work in office for 3 years. Doris decided to retire from political life in August of 1976. She felt she was doing a disservice to the Maui people because they deserve someone that's 100% committed. Doris knew that she couldn't dedicate her time to political life anymore because she knew that she had a bigger, more important job that needed her attention. And that was her role as a mother and eventually a grandmother. To the people of Maui, Doris was known as Yoneto Yamaguchi's wife, a councilwoman, maybe a leader, woman for the future. But to me, she was my grandmother, Grandma Maui to be exact. I vividly remember her with white and gray hair that was about shoulder length, a bit voluminous and curly. She was very short, maybe a little bit taller than me, but with her cute little hunch, we were about the same height. And I was 9 years old at the time. I get to see her once a year, and every time I did, the interaction usually consisted of updates, questions like, "Kristen, what is Hollister?" and "Why is your hair always in your face?" Grandma Maui had an exceptionally bright mind with an impressive ability to memorize random things, such as my dad's license plate or my birthday. It was typical of Grandma Maui to never miss a beat, only so long as her hearing aids were in. One of my favorite parts about her was how she was pretty much always able to put on a show. She was animated in her words, expressive during conversations. It was truly a pleasure to simply sit back and watch. One of her greatest joys was, of course, singing. And being as young as I was, I never understood the songs that she'd sing. But it didn't matter because watching her belt out notes as if no one was watching and sing lyrical lines that proved her incredible memorization was just fascinating to watch as a young spectator. Here's a clip of her singing to give you an idea of what it was like.
誰を待つやら銀座の街から時計流れてそわそわニヤニヤこれが銀座のカンカン娘 Wow.
So as you can see, she was truly amazing and only got better with age. In conclusion, Grandma Maui had enormous amounts of love to provide to her family, friends, and her community. Even after facing the obstacle of losing her husband and later fighting through multiple forms of cancer, her resiliency always shined through. On December 26, 2010, my grandma, Doris Yamaguchi, passed away at Maui Memorial Medical Center with all of us by her side. I feel grateful to have known an amazing woman with such strength and power that has made such an impact on the Maui community as well as my own personal life. Her legacy will live on forever in many forms, but to me, she will always be my Grandma Maui.